What if the best upgrades to your retirement cost absolutely nothing? No expensive travel, no luxury homes, no bigger retirement accounts. Across different cultures around the world, people have discovered simple practices that quietly create a deeper, calmer, and more meaningful life. Practices that can make retirement feel richer without spending a single dollar. In this video, we'll explore 7 powerful philosophies from Sweden, Japan, Italy, Denmark, and Finland that can completely change how you experience retirement. And the first one is a simple idea that might be the secret to feeling truly satisfied with life. It's called just enough. And once you understand it, retirement may feel completely different. Part 1. Retirement isn't about doing more. The ocean never rushes. It arrives, it retreats, and it trusts that there is always time. In many ways, retirement can be lived the same way. Not louder, not faster, but deeper. Slow living in retirement isn't about doing less. It's about choosing the things that truly matter and doing them with care, with intention, with presence. Many people believe that upgrading life in retirement requires more travel, more activities, more spending, more experiences. And yes, those things can certainly be enjoyable. But the truth is something most people eventually discover. Some of the most powerful upgrades to retirement cost absolutely nothing. They are not purchases. They are practices. Simple ways of living that cultures around the world have developed over generations to create meaning, balance, and happiness. Across many cultures, people have discovered that a fulfilling life often comes from small philosophies that shape everyday living. These practices don't require wealth. They require awareness, and when applied intentionally, they can completely transform the experience of retirement. In this video, we'll explore 7 powerful cultural practices that can dramatically upgrade your retirement life without spending a single dollar. These are practices that anyone can adopt, but they become especially meaningful during retirement when life finally slows down enough for us to appreciate them. And the first concept may be one of the most powerful retirement philosophies in the world. It comes from Sweden, and it's built around a very simple idea: having just enough. Part 2. Lagom, the power of just enough. The first practice comes from Sweden. The word is Lagom. And while there isn't a perfect translation in English, the meaning is beautifully simple. It means just enough. Not too much. Not too little. But exactly enough to create balance, contentment, and happiness. In many ways, this idea is a superpower in retirement, because when people retire, they often feel pressure to suddenly do more, travel more, volunteer more, spend more, buy the boat, buy the vacation home. Fill every day with activities because now there is supposedly so much time. But Lagom invites a different question. What do I actually need to feel content? For some people, a large home might feel right. But for others, a smaller home that's easy to maintain may feel perfect. Not too big, not too small, just enough. A space where life feels comfortable rather than overwhelming. The same idea applies to travel. Some people love visiting new places constantly. Others prefer something slower. Perhaps staying in one place longer. Experiencing it deeply rather than quickly moving from destination to destination. Both approaches are valid. Lagom simply reminds us that fulfillment rarely comes from more and more. It comes from balance. In retirement, this philosophy removes a huge amount of pressure. You don't have to live up to anyone else's expectations. You don't have to chase a version of retirement that society tells you is ideal. Instead, you can simply ask yourself, what feels like enough for me? And when you find that balance, something remarkable happens. Life becomes calmer. Decisions become easier, and contentment becomes much easier to find. But there is another philosophy that becomes incredibly meaningful as we grow older. One that teaches us something powerful about imperfection and aging, and it comes from Japan. Part 3. Wabi-sabi, finding beauty in imperfection. The next practice comes from Japan. It's called wabi-sabi. And at its heart, it teaches something many people spend their whole lives trying to avoid. Imperfection is not a flaw. It is part of beauty. In modern culture, we are constantly surrounded by the idea that everything should be perfect. Perfect homes, perfect careers, perfect appearances. But Wabi Sabi invites us to see life differently. It reminds us that age, wear, and imperfection are not signs of decline. They are signs of life being lived. A classic example of this philosophy comes from a Japanese art form called kintsugi. When a ceramic bowl or vase breaks, instead of throwing it away, artisans repair it using gold. The cracks are not hidden, they are highlighted. The object becomes even more beautiful because of the story it now carries. And retirement gives us a unique opportunity to understand this idea deeply. Because as we age, we begin to see changes in ourselves. Wrinkles, gray hair, slower movement. Many people see these as losses, but Wabi Sabi offers a different perspective. Each wrinkle represents years of living. Each line tells a story of experiences, lessons, and resilience. Aging is not something to hide. It is something to honor. When we adopt this mindset, retirement stops feeling like a stage of decline. Instead, it becomes a stage of wisdom and reflection. A time when we no longer need perfection. We only need authenticity. But while accepting imperfection brings peace, there is another practice that gives retirement something equally important. A reason to wake up each morning. And that idea also comes from Japan. Part 4. Ikigai, a reason to wake up every morning. The next concept also comes from Japan. It's called Ikigai, and the meaning is simple but powerful. Ikigai is your reason to wake up in the morning, your purpose, your reason for living. Many people believe purpose has to be something big. A major achievement, a huge goal, something impressive that others admire. But Ikigai teaches something very different. Purpose doesn't have to be big. Sometimes it's incredibly small, and that's perfectly enough. In retirement, Ikigai might be something as simple as taking a walk along the beach, enjoying your morning coffee, working in the garden, reading a good book, knitting something for a grandchild, calling a friend, spending time with family. These moments may seem ordinary, but they create meaning in everyday life. One of the biggest risks in retirement is losing that daily sense of purpose. Many studies show that as people age, they can become more isolated, more withdrawn, sometimes even lonely. This doesn't happen to everyone, but it is a common pattern. Without a reason to get up in the morning, days can begin to feel empty. And that's why Ikigai matters so much. Purpose doesn't have to impress anyone else. It only needs to make your life feel meaningful. The world often tells us our purpose must be productive, impressive, or financially successful. But Ikigai reminds us that purpose can simply be what makes you happy to wake up tomorrow. And that is enough. But retirement also teaches another important lesson. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is nothing at all. And that brings us to a beautiful idea from Italy. Part 5. Dolce far niente, the sweetness of doing nothing. The next practice comes from Italy. It's called dolce far niente, and it translates to something beautiful, the sweetness of doing nothing. For many people, especially in fast-paced cultures, this idea feels uncomfortable. We grow up believing that rest must be earned, that if we are not being productive, we are wasting time. Even in retirement, this mindset often continues. People replace their busy work schedules with busy retirement schedules. More activities, more commitments, more plans. But dolce far niente suggests something radical. Sometimes the most meaningful moments happen when we simply pause. Imagine sitting by the ocean, watching the waves move slowly toward the shore, feeling the warmth of the sun, letting your thoughts drift without any pressure to accomplish anything. At first, it might feel strange, but after a while, something powerful happens. Your mind begins to relax. Your ideas become clearer. Your creativity returns. Many people discover that their best thoughts appear when they stop trying so hard to think. In retirement, this ability becomes a gift. Because for the first time in decades, life may no longer be scheduled minute by minute, and learning to enjoy stillness can bring a surprising sense of peace. Dolce far niente reminds us that not every moment needs to be filled with activity. Some moments are meant simply to be experienced. But even when we slow down and appreciate life's quiet moments, challenges will still appear. And when they do, another cultural philosophy can help us navigate them with strength and calm. This one comes from Finland. Part 6. Sisu, quiet strength and inner calm. The next philosophy comes from Finland. It's called Sisu. And while the word doesn't translate perfectly into English, it describes something powerful. Quiet resilience. Inner strength. The ability to stay calm and steady even when life becomes difficult. Sisu isn't about being loud or dramatic. It's not about reacting emotionally to every challenge. Instead, it's about maintaining a sense of inner stability, handling problems with patience, accepting that some things in life are simply outside our control. This idea shares a lot with the philosophy of Stoicism, the belief that we should focus our energy only on what we can control and let go of what we cannot. In retirement, this mindset can become incredibly valuable because life inevitably brings changes. Health changes. Relationships change. The world around us changes. When we respond to every difficulty with frustration or fear, life quickly becomes overwhelming. But Sisu teaches us something different. It teaches us to face challenges calmly, to move forward steadily, without unnecessary drama, without panic. This quiet strength doesn't mean ignoring problems, it means acknowledging them and continuing forward anyway. With patience, with resilience, and with trust in your own ability to adapt. Many people find that cultivating this calm mindset dramatically improves their quality of life. Stress becomes easier to manage. Unexpected situations feel less frightening, and everyday life feels more balanced. But resilience alone isn't enough. A fulfilling life also needs something else. Warmth, comfort, a feeling of emotional safety. And that leads us to the next beautiful practice. Part 7. Hygge, the feeling of warmth and comfort. The next practice comes from Denmark. The word is hygge. Many people pronounce it hygge. And while it's often associated with cozy rooms, candles, and warm blankets, the real meaning goes much deeper. Hygge is about creating a feeling of comfort and emotional safety. A sense that wherever you are, you feel at ease. In many images online, hygge is shown through beautiful interiors, soft lighting, minimalist furniture, warm colors. But the heart of hygge isn't about aesthetics. It's about how you feel. Hygge can be found in very simple moments. Sharing a meal with family, having coffee with a friend, reading a book on a quiet evening, listening to rain outside while sitting somewhere warm and comfortable. These moments may seem small, but they create a deep sense of peace and belonging. In retirement, this feeling becomes especially important. Life may slow down, schedules may change, but hygge reminds us that comfort doesn't come from expensive things. It comes from simple routines and familiar spaces. The places where we feel safe, where we feel calm, where we can simply be ourselves. And when life contains many of these small, comforting moments, something interesting happens. Days feel richer. Even ordinary moments begin to feel meaningful. But there is one final philosophy that brings all of these ideas together. A philosophy that teaches us to truly appreciate the passage of time itself. And it also comes from Japan. Part 8. Mono no aware, honoring the passing of time. The final philosophy comes from Japan. It's called Mono no aware, and it describes a very gentle awareness, the understanding that life is temporary, and that this temporary nature is exactly what makes life so beautiful. Every moment passes, the sunlight moving across a room, the sound of rain outside, the laughter of someone you love. These moments appear, and then they disappear. Most of the time we rush past them, always thinking about the next thing, the next task, the next plan, the next stage of life. But Mono no aware invites us to slow down and notice these moments, to truly experience them. Retirement often makes this awareness stronger because life begins to feel different, time feels more visible, days feel more precious. Instead of rushing through them, we begin to see the small details more clearly. The way morning light fills a room, the quiet comfort of an afternoon walk, the warmth of a conversation with someone we care about. Mono no aware is not about feeling sad that time passes. It's about appreciating that it does. Because if life lasted forever, these moments would not feel as meaningful. It's the fleeting nature of time that gives each moment its value. And when we combine all of these practices together, Lagom, wabi-sabi, Ikigai, dolce far niente, Zisu, Higa, and Mono no aware, something remarkable happens. Retirement stops being a phase of life where we simply try to stay busy. Instead, it becomes a time where we learn to live more deeply. With more awareness, more gratitude, and more peace. In a world that often feels chaotic and rushed, these simple practices remind us that happiness doesn't always come from more activity, more purchases, or more achievements. Sometimes the greatest upgrade to our lives comes from changing how we experience the moments we already have. And the beautiful part is this: every one of these practices costs nothing at all, but the impact they can have on your life can be immeasurable. So perhaps the real question retirement invites us to ask is simple. Not how much more can we do, but how deeply can we experience the life we already have?